So Eddie Howe has spoken with the press today at the press conference ahead of the game on Sunday down at Selhurst Park, as we have 7 games left of the season to save our European dreams for next season, be it Champions League, Europa League or Conference League. If we want to be in European competition next season, we need to do absolutely amazing in these next 7 games, the last 7 games of this season. But Eddie has talked about the squad update for injuries, of course, heading into this game against Crystal Palace down at Selhurst Park. And I've got to say, it was tough to hear that Bruno will not be available for the game. Obvious reasons, Bruno came back from Brazil where he was recovering, of course, during the international break. And he's been now out for 11 games, which is just soul destroying to hear. And he will not be available for this game against Palace because during his time away recovering and him coming back, he picked up, of course, mumps, as we talked about, of course, on the channel before, talked about on a social media account as well. And, because of that, Bruno hasn't been able to do the training that was needed heading into this game. So it looks like, of course, Bruno will not be available for this game, according to what Eddie is saying in the press conference. So that is a massive blow to say, that Bruno will not be available for the game due to him, of course, in the incident with the mumps that he picked up. Shaw will also not be available after picking up a small infection, according to what Eddie said in the press conference. And there's had to be a slight operation, according to Eddie as well, on that infection that Fabs has picked up in his foot. So we're not going to see Fabs now, according to Eddie, until May, which is really destroying to hear as well, because we need Fabs back, of course, for the depth to the squad. And then, of course, you've got Botman, which wasn't mentioned in the squad update, but then according to reports from Lee Ryder, he's saying that a club official, after the press conference was finished, came out to, of course, update everybody on that update for Botman. And he said that, Botman would be available for the game against Crystal Palace, but he would have to be wearing a facial mask to protect the fracture that he's had to his face, of course, which is a good sign. He will be available, but of course, other than that, Bruno not being available, Fabs not being available, it is a bit of an annoying one to see. Like I say, Bruno being out now for 11 games, just soul destroying to see. To miss his magic in the middle of the park forward is just really annoying. We could really use, with captain Bruno in there leading the line in the middle of the pitch. And that is, what we were hoping we would have for the last 7 games of the season, but it looks like we're not going to have that now for the game against Crystal Palace. And according to what Eddie's saying, it might not be for the game after Palace as well, which is again very annoying, but we'll have to wait and see on the game after Palace. But he's definitely not going to be available for the game against Crystal Palace, so no Bruno for the game against Crystal Palace, which is absolutely destroying to hear. Joe Linton, of course, going into this one on a tightrope as well, as he is 1 yellow card away from picking up, of course, a ban. So he'll have to be very careful, very professional with his tackles in the game. And we have seen, Big Joe do this before, where he has been very close to a caution and he has been able to see himself through so that he didn't pick up the caution and get himself banned from the next games. But, we are going to Selhurst Park. It's going to be a difficult place to go. But looking at it, Palace, they might be flying in Europe after beating Fiorentina 3-0 in their game, of course, just gone. But their home form in the league is absolutely shocking. Only 14 goals at home all season for Crystal Palace and Oliver Glasner's side. We can't, of course, go into this game and allow Palace to dictate the play. We've got to go in and we've got to get their throats from the off, because Palace are having some really bad form at Selhurst Park. They're brilliant away, they're brilliant in Europe, but at Selhurst Park they are finding some really bad form. So we've got to capitalise on that, and we've got to come away from Selhurst Park with all 3 points in the bag, in my opinion. And we've got to, capitalise on that home turf voodoo. And looking at the referee who will be in the middle of the park for this one, it's going to be Andy Madley, Bobby Madley's brother. Of course, yes, the man who oversaw a 3-2 defeat against, of course, Brentford, and the draw with Chelsea. Every time we see him, drama follows with Andy Madley, and with Craig Pawson on VAR, I'm already prepared to start screaming at my TV. They're going to be it with. They're going to do what they've been doing all season. We've just got to look past it, and we've just got to play better than what the officials are going to do, because the officials are going to be, like they have been all season, very, very dodgy when it comes to playing it down the middle for both sides. And I mean, we've struggled at Selhurst Park lately in the previous games that we've played here. We've had draws, losses since the 2-0 win back in 2022. And it's, time to rewrite that script. Lewis Miley's going to be available as well for the game, so that's nice to see. He needs to show that academy class and steady the ship forward, because we're not going to have Bruno there to do that. But we need a massive reaction after recent results, because, we deserve and we need something to cheer about right now. And we definitely need to keep getting these results, on the board. We need to get as many positive results as we can, because we need to get that gap between us and them European places closed down quite quickly. If we are to dream of playing in Europe next season, like I say, be it Champions League, Europa League or Conference League, we need to close that gap if we want to be dreaming of playing European football next season, no matter what competition it is. But this is a huge chance for us to do the double over Crystal Palace for the first time since 2014. But looking at that, news coming out, that press conference from Eddie Howe, it just does not look good, for us. It really doesn't. But I hope we've got enough there still to be able to come away from Selhurst Park on Sunday when that final whistle blows with all 3 points in the bag, and seeing ourselves move up the Premier League table closer to them European spots. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Who do you think is going to be the person that, of course, will be the outstanding player in the game? Who do you think is going to be the one that hopefully will get us the 3 points on the board? And, of course, the result that we'll want from Selhurst Park. And any Palace fans watching, what's your thoughts going into it as well? On the Palace side of things, of course, there is news that Matete won't be available, or Eddie Nketiah won't be available as well, which I've got mentioned earlier in the video. So that is a positive for us Newcastle United fans. Not so much of a positive, of course, for Palace fans going into the game. But for us Newcastle United fans, that's really good sign, because Matete is a really good player for Palace. So him not being available for Palace is a massive boost for us going into this game. But let us know your score predictions down in the comments below. Who do you think is going to be the standout player in the game? And I'll see you all for the match reaction. However, lads.